Starting your day with purposeful intention is one of the most transformative practices a person can adopt. The way you begin your morning creates a ripple effect that influences every decision, every reaction, and every step throughout the day. When you wake up and step into your day without direction, you're simply reacting to the world. But when you rise with intention, you step into the role of creator. You direct, you influence, you decide. It all begins with how you set your mind. The moment your eyes open, the first moments of your day are the most powerful. They are sacred. They are a clean slate. In those moments, you are given the opportunity to design the energy, focus, and mindset you want to bring to the day ahead. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. You must wake up knowing what you're about, who you are, and what you intend to do. You don't need to know every detail of how the day will unfold, but you do need to know how you will show up. Will you lead with discipline? With gratitude? With courage? With clarity? That's your decision. But if you don't decide, the world will decide for you. To live a life of purpose, you must learn to dominate your mornings. It doesn't mean you have to follow a specific ritual or routine. It means you have to wake up and immediately put your mind in alignment with your mission. You start with your vision. What do you want to create today? Who do you want to become today? What kind of energy are you bringing into your relationships, your work, your body, your thoughts? That clarity will set you apart. It turns average days into intentional ones. And intentional days are the building blocks of an extraordinary life. The truth is, most people live in reaction. They wake up and immediately reach for their phone. They check messages, emails, news, allowing external noise to fill their minds, before they've even had a moment to listen to themselves. That's not domination. That's surrender. That's ceding control before the battle even begins. If you want to dominate your day, you have to take back your mind first thing in the morning. And that begins with stillness, with focus, with presence. It begins with asking yourself, what am I here to do today? What is required of me? There's power in deciding that the day will not dictate your mood. You will. The events of the day will not determine your energy. You will. The people you encounter, the situations you face, the obstacles that may arise, they don't control your inner world unless you give them permission. And that permission is either granted or denied in those first few minutes of your day. That's when you decide, am I going to live by design or default? Purposeful intention is more than a thought, it's a force. It's a choice to reject passivity and embody alignment. It's looking in the mirror and asking, what does the highest version of me look like today? Then going out and living that answer. Not talking about it, not waiting for the perfect moment, living it. Even in the small things, especially in the small things. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you step into your morning sloppy and distracted, don't be surprised if your whole day follows suit. But if you step into your morning grounded, present, and focused, you build momentum that carries into every conversation, every task, every challenge. And it's not about perfection, it's about commitment. Some mornings will be tougher than others. You may feel tired, overwhelmed, or uncertain, but that's when your decision matters most. Intention isn't something you practice only when it's convenient. It's something you apply when it's necessary, especially when your mind wants to revert to old patterns. You bring it back to the present. You bring it back to the mission. You remind yourself, this day is a gift. I will not waste it. I will not drift. I will not shrink. I will move forward even if it's one step, even if it's one breath at a time. The most powerful individuals aren't the ones with the most resources. They're the ones with the most resolve. And that resolve is forged in the early hours. When no one is watching. When the world is still asleep. When your mind is quiet enough to hear your own voice. That's when your future is shaped. Not by what you say you want, but by what you're willing to do when it's uncomfortable, when it's early, when it's inconvenient. Because how you start is how you finish. If you want to win the day, you have to win the morning. That means you must refuse to let laziness speak louder than purpose. You must silence the voice that says not today, and amplify the voice that says now is the time. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need conviction. That's what separates those who drift through their days from those who dominate them. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the decision to begin each day like it matters, because it does. Each sunrise is a new canvas. What will you paint on it? Will you bring color and depth, or let it remain blank, faded by excuses and indecision, that's on you. Nobody is coming to make your mornings meaningful, that's your job. And once you claim that responsibility, everything changes. You begin to see your time as sacred. You begin to protect your energy. You begin to say no to things that dilute your focus and yes to the things that amplify your purpose. It's a shift. And once you feel that shift, you'll never want to go back. There's a fire that gets lit inside of you when you start your day with clarity and conviction. You don't walk. You charge. You don't doubt. You decide. You don't question your worth. You embody it. And every action you take from that mindset reinforces it. You begin to walk into rooms differently. You begin to speak differently. You begin to expect more from yourself, not out of pressure, but out of alignment. Because when you know who you are and why you're here, it becomes impossible to live beneath your calling. This is your reminder. The morning is not just a beginning, it is a declaration. A declaration of who you are and how you intend to show up. Let your intention be strong enough to silence distraction, sharp enough to cut through doubt, and deep enough to carry you when motivation fades. Don't wait for inspiration. Create. Don't hope for momentum, build it. Don't ask for direction, declare it. Your purpose is waiting on the other side of your decision, and that decision is made the moment you wake up, every single day. Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. It is not glamorous and it often goes unnoticed, but it is the quiet force that shapes great achievements. Most people look at the final product of success, the awards, the wealth, the applause, but what they miss is the endless string of disciplined decisions that led there. Discipline isn't a one-time event. It's a daily commitment, a relentless habit of showing up, doing the work, and pushing past excuses. To dominate any day, the first and most critical step is mastering discipline. This begins the moment you wake up. The alarm goes off, and already a battle begins, not between you and the world, but between you and yourself. Do you hit snooze, giving in to momentary comfort, or do you rise, take ownership, and move with purpose? This seemingly small decision sets the tone for the day. Waking up with intention, even when you don't feel like it, is the first act of discipline. It's an internal message that says, I'm in control. I decide what this day will be. From that point on, every moment becomes a choice. The choice to work out when your body wants to rest. The choice to fuel yourself with what you need, instead of what you crave. The choice to focus when distractions pull at you from every direction. Discipline isn't about having more time, more resources, or more motivation. It's about making the most of what you have, right now, without excuses. It's about prioritizing long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. When you build discipline into your life, it rewires your brain. Your mind starts to expect more from you, and in turn, you expect more from yourself. You stop settling for mediocre effort. You become aware of when you're slacking, and instead of letting it slide, you correct course. This internal accountability is where transformation happens. You no longer need external validation or constant reminders. You operate from a place of personal integrity. One of the biggest misconceptions is that discipline kills freedom. In each one reality, it's the opposite. True freedom comes from self-control. When you're disciplined, you're not enslaved by impulses, laziness, or emotion. You're not at the mercy of your environment or your mood. You gain control over your time, your energy, and your destiny. You do the things you say you're going to do, not because someone is watching, but because that's who you are. Daily discipline is like compound interest. It builds slowly, but the results are exponential. At first, the changes are internal. You begin to feel sharper, more focused, more energized. Your self-talk improves. You walk a little taller because you know you're putting in the work. Eventually, that inner growth starts to reflect in the outer world. You become more productive. You start hitting goals that used to seem out of reach. People begin to notice the difference in how you carry yourself, how you handle pressure, how you lead and execute. It's important to understand that discipline is not about being perfect. It's about consistency. You will have off days, you will slip. But discipline means you don't let one bad moment become a bad day and one bad day become a bad week. It means you bounce back faster, with more grit and less drama. You hold yourself to a higher standard, not out of self-loathing, but out of deep self-respect. Another truth is that discipline thrives in structure. When you organize your day, set priorities, and create non-negotiables, you eliminate decision fatigue. You don't waste energy debating whether or not to follow through. You've already decided. Morning routines, daily rituals, and scheduled time blocks are not about being robotic. They're tools to protect your energy and keep you aligned with your goals. When your life is structured around discipline, you have clarity. You're not chasing every shiny object or reacting to every distraction. You're locked in, and you move with precision. Emotional discipline is just as vital. It's easy to get derailed by frustration, doubt, fear, or even boredom. But when you build emotional discipline, you learn to sit with discomfort without losing focus. You can feel tired and still act. You can feel discouraged and still push forward. That ability to act independently of emotion is what separates the average from the elite. Discipline teaches you not to be controlled by the moment, but to stay aligned with your mission. This kind of commitment requires vision. You need to be clear about what you're working toward and why it matters. Without a compelling reason, discipline becomes a grind. But when you tie your daily actions to a meaningful purpose, the work becomes sacred. Every repetition, every decision, every sacrifice carries weight. You begin to see each day not as a throwaway but as a building block. Each disciplined action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Your environment also plays a crucial role. Surround yourself with people who value discipline, create spaces that inspire action, and eliminate those that encourage distraction. Discipline is contagious. When you live it, you give others permission to rise. When you normalize high standards, others will either grow or fall away. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're choosing your energy, and in doing so you protect your focus. In truth, most of life's problems can be traced back to a lack of discipline. Poor health, missed opportunities, broken promises, they all stem from a failure to consistently do what needs to be done. But the beautiful part is that discipline is within your control. You don't need anyone's permission to build it. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to decide, every day, that your goals matter more than your excuses. Start small if you need to. Build momentum. Keep promises to yourself, no matter how minor. Show up when it's hard. Choose growth over comfort. With each act of discipline, you lay another brick on the path to greatness. Eventually, you won't need motivation. You'll have muscle memory. You'll have identity. You'll be the type of person who simply gets it done. And that's where true power lies. Not in hype, not in potential, but in the quiet, unshakable discipline of a person who shows up every single day with purpose. Owning your morning is about reclaiming control over your life from the moment you open your eyes. It's a mindset and a discipline that transforms ordinary days into powerful stepping stones toward your greater purpose. The moment you wake, up before the noise of the world creeps in, before the demands start stacking on your shoulders, that moment is sacred. It's a window of opportunity to command your energy, focus your intentions, and create a mental state that radiates purpose throughout your day. Too often, people wake up and immediately reach for their phones. Notifications, emails, and social media begin dictating their thoughts. In those first moments, their mindset is already reactive rather than proactive. But if you decide to take back those first 10 to 60 minutes of your day, you are deciding to live on your terms. You are not allowing the world to shape your day. You're shaping the world through your day. A deliberate morning routine isn't just a productivity hack. It's an identity builder. When you wake up early, even when you don't feel like it, you are telling your mind and your body that you are in charge. You are programming discipline into your identity. You're reinforcing the idea that your goals matter enough to get up and chase them, even when it's inconvenient. That first choice of getting out of bed with purpose cascades into hundreds of decisions you'll make throughout the day. You start with a win, and that victory multiplies. There's a certain quiet power in being up while the world still sleeps. In that silence, there is clarity. You can think without interruption, breathe without pressure, and visualize without distraction. This clarity becomes a compass. It points you toward what truly matters, not what just seems urgent. In those early hours, you are better able to ask yourself the right questions. What am I building? Why am I doing this? What legacy am I creating with my actions today? A consistent morning routine also acts as an anchor. Life is unpredictable. Some days will bring joy, others will test your limits. But a solid start to the morning provides a sense of control, a base to return to, regardless of what happens later. Even on chaotic days, knowing you took that time for yourself gives you confidence and calm. It grounds you in your values and reminds you that no matter how turbulent the storm, your foundation is strong. The power of intention cannot be overstated. When you begin your day with clear intentions, whether it's through journaling, prayer, affirmations, or visualization, you prime your subconscious to look for opportunities aligned with your vision. You're not leaving success to chance. You're directing your thoughts toward purpose. This kind of mental rehearsal shapes how you perceive challenges and opportunities. What once looked like an obstacle may now appear as a stepping stone. Pairing. Mental discipline with physical movement takes your energy to another level. Exercise in the morning isn't just about aesthetics or fitness. It's about sharpening your edge. Movement floods your body with endorphins, reduces stress, and reminds you that you are capable of taking action. It generates momentum that spills into every other area of your life. You approach problems with more vitality, and you face resistance with a stronger spirit. Hydration, proper nutrition, and silence are other powerful tools. Drinking water when you wake up recharges your body after hours without fuel. Eating something nourishing sets the tone for mindful decisions later. And silence, even just 5 minutes, clears the mental clutter that accumulates unknowingly overnight. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you can't hear when you're constantly distracted. Another powerful component of owning your morning is reflection. When you take a few minutes to think about what you're grateful for, your entire perspective shifts. Gratitude rewires your brain for positivity. Instead of approaching the day with stress or complaints, you begin with appreciation. That mental state is magnetic. It draws more things into your life worth being thankful for. You're not just surviving the day. You're growing, attracting, and becoming more aligned with who you were meant to be. It's also crucial to review your goals daily. Goals aren't meant to be visited once a month. They should be imprinted into your consciousness. By reading them, saying them, or writing them every morning, you remind yourself of your why. That consistent reminder builds emotional connection and urgency. You're not operating aimlessly. Every task becomes a brick in the building of your future. Every action is tied to something bigger than the moment. Ultimately, the way you start your day is a declaration. It says something about what you expect from life and what you are willing to give in return. People who dominate their days do so not because of luck, but because of systems. They prepare mentally, physically, and emotionally before most have even begun, and that preparation gives them the edge. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than the version of yourself who sleeps through purpose. There will be days when it's hard, days when the alarm feels like a threat, days when the temptation to snooze or delay feels overwhelming. But those are the days that matter most, because when you show up for yourself in those moments, you prove that your goals are more important than your comfort. And that is the mindset of champions. That is the foundation of greatness. Every morning you have the chance to start again. You can let go of yesterday's failures and recommit to today's mission. You can remind yourself that time is your most valuable resource, and how you use your morning determines how much of that resource is wasted versus invested. When you choose to own your morning, you choose to own your life. You become a creator of momentum, a magnet for growth, and a force of intentional living. You stop living by default and start living by design. And when that shift happens, nothing is the same again.